If you love me, you will keep my commandments. John 14:15. That's a very important passage here, very important verse, because many in the religious world will look over it. Even in the church, individuals will ignore this verse. They may be able to quote it, they may be able to memorize it, but it does not mean that it is followed. Matter of fact, we see evidence of people not following this verse. They act as if it says, if you love me, you have the option to keep my commandments. Now it says, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. Keep in mind that this is Jesus speaking here. How do you show your love to Christ? You keep his commandments. That right there destroys any kind of notion about faith only or belief only, and all you have to do is believe. That destroys any motion of that. We see that in order to be pleasing to God, in order to be considered in love with Christ, loving Christ, we have to keep the commandments of Christ. His commandments are something we should not take for granted and that we should always strive to do. We must always strive to not only keep the commandments of Christ, but to also help each other keep the commandments of Christ. We have an obligation to each other to help each other get to heaven and to help others who are not Christians to get to heaven by having them obey the commandments of Christ. We need to take this verse seriously. It is a very popular memory verse. It is one that is very well known, but it is one that we should take seriously because the indication here is if you love Christ, you will keep his commandments, which obviously means that if we do not keep the commandments of Christ, we do not love him. Very serious thing to think about. And please remember that. And also, please remember our nation. And I want to give thank you to all of the World War II veterans that are still living. And as this was the day that Pearl Harbor was attacked, and we ask and we pray that those that died during that war and those that are still living, that they are at peace, the families are at peace, and that they have found God for comfort and for strength. Please have a good rest of your Monday.